Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Okay, the thing that's wrong with this one, it's missing the primer bulb. And the carburetor is pretty much screwed up too. We're going to replace the carburetor. That'll take care of the missing primer bulb and the bad carburetor. Now, it's got plenty of spark. Passed the spark test easily. Got a lot of compression. Everything seems to roll over well. Winding's okay. Haven't checked the oil level. This is a 4-stroke. First time I ever worked on a 4-stroke string trimmer. I don't work on string trimmers very much anyways. Not my favorite thing to work on. Came off that way, goes back on that way. Throttle cable drops down through that slot. Sits right there. Opens the throttle cable when you pull on it. Working good. Because this was missing the cover, I ordered another one. This one's used, but all the pieces are there. This little guy must be the crankcase breather. And this carburetor came with a set of lines that don't match anything. This might be the crankcase breather, but these definitely aren't the fuel lines. Fortunately, when I got the filter and carburetor pieces for the Mac, it came with a set of hoses that are the right size. Now I have a box with hoses downstairs, and if I needed to, I could go downstairs and get proper sizes, I'm sure, but these are out here in the garage already because I just got done working with the Mac.
There's a broken off piece of the old hose and still in the tank. I need to punch that out.
So I'll cut the end of the hose at an angle so it'll slide into that hole in the tank, at least hopefully. Need a little lubrication. A little bit of oil will make this work better, I hope. So we're going to slide that down in there.
Twisting the hose seemed to help a heck of a lot when I was trying to get the hose in.
There we go. Now this line goes up and goes onto the top one. A little kink there so it stays out of the way of this. Then we'll do the same with the other one. or forceps comes in real handy. And fish it out just like that. And I cut the end square. Add a little oil to the hose barb. It doesn't want to go on. This fuel filter is always a little bigger than the line. And they make the fuel filter out of plastic and then add a metal weight to it. Can't figure that out for the life of me. Why not just make it out of brass so that it doesn't break easily? And then it'll be self-weighted. Hard on the fingers. Okay, now drop that down in there and pull this line up so that it lays nicely on the bottom. Clip off that line. And slide it over that hose barb. Check the oil level. Doesn't look like there's any oil in it. Well, there's a little dribble. Not much.
After I finished draining the tank, the camera stopped recording. It was still running, but it just stopped recording. Something happened to the chip. The last video was blank. So I didn't get a chance to record the starting procedure and the tank leaking.
Supposed to check the oil every time you run this thing. You just make sure it's sitting flat and level. Remove the dipstick. With the dipstick all the way in, it's supposed to come up and touch that, which we're good. It says to be careful and not overfill. Got the directions right here on the stem. Now, when I first started this thing, I had a problem. I'm going to go ahead and start this and show you how it works. It says to check oil level. Did that. Fill fuel tank with fuel. Yep, we got that taken care of. Pull the ignition switch to the start position. There we are, start. Place choke lever in start, which is all the way to the left. Choke's all the way closed. Fully press and release the primer bulb slowly, 7 times. That's this little thing right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pull the starter rope briskly 5 times. Well, that's pretty good. It actually started on the primer. I didn't have to run the choke all the way and go through the full startup cycle. When I first started it, the fuel tank was leaking like a sieve. Turns out that the cap gasket was bad. But I fixed that, and I'll show you how I did that right here. This is the gas cap off of a Ryobi 825R string trimmer. Well, it's actually a multi-tool that comes with a string trimmer, but you can also buy a rototiller and an edger, trimming saw, just all manner of things that go on it. It's a power head, basically. And George Hooper gave me this one with the challenge to say, I don't know if it'll run. So I set about trying to make it run, which is a whole nother video. Once I got it running, the gas cap turned out to be a very big problem because it leaks. Not the cap itself. The cap itself is actually in pretty good shape. The thing that was wrong on it was this little thing. This is just a little rubber seal that sits in there like that and goes up against the end of the tank and seals the tank off. The problem is, this has got a split in it. It's actually got 2 splits in it. and it's brittle. So no matter how tight you tighten this, it doesn't stop leaks, and it pours gas all over the place. When the engine's running, it at idle, it's okay, but once it starts running, it starts actually pouring gasoline out on the floor because the engine is shaking so much. So I said, okay, fine. Had the same problem with the McCulloch chainsaw, so I bought a couple of gaskets for the gas caps and the oil cap, and figured that was going to solve it, and those will be in sometime around June 2nd or so. But when I went online to try and buy a gasket for this, couldn't find one. Now I could find another gas cap, just like this one. About the same age, who knows whether the seal actually worked. And it was $7 just to find out. And I thought, $7 is kind of steep. So anyways, I started thinking, what can I do? How can I get a gasket? So I thought, well, I could buy a sheet of neoprene rubber and cut out a new one. Just make a new one out of neoprene. So I went to the hardware store. It's a local hardware store. Nice group of people. And I said, do you have anything like this? So I went over to this big rack of cubby holes that they've got and started looking, and then he went upstairs, pulled out another box out of a cubby hole, and he said, well, we've got this, but the hole size is wrong. I said, that's not a problem. Look at that. It's almost perfect. All I got to do is cut out the inside. And I said, sell me 2 of them. You never know when you might make a mistake. So I ended up with 2 very similar gasket. So I ended up with 2 proper thickness, proper OD seals. So I'm going to cut out the inside of this one to match this gas cap. That looks pretty close. Might be just a little bit wider. Maybe the hole in the center is a little smaller. Looks like a pretty good fit. A lot softer than this one. Well, I've got this one if this one doesn't work. So the next step is put it on the string trimmer and give it a try. About 10 minutes work and 63 cents for a washer. And I've got a new gasket. And another 63 cents, and I got a spare just in case. Okay, we'll give this seal a shot in the morning when the sun's up and find out what happens. Well, we got it running. Now I want to do some work on the rototiller head before I actually try the machine with the rototiller head on it. I want to make sure it's lubricated and everything's good to go on it. But the engine itself works good. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I rate them all. Thanks for watching.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.